In discussing the traits of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, one cannot help but be astonished by the perfection of his noble character. He was described by Anas bin Malik as having the best manners among all human beings. Prophet Muhammad himself said, "I have been sent entirely to perfect good manners." When asked by his companions to curse his enemies for all the difficulty and harm they had inflicted upon him and his followers, his most candid response in refusal was that he has not been sent to curse people, but rather as a mercy to all of mankind. Such was the beautiful nature of this noble prophet of Allah. When Allah sent him the angel of mountains, offering him the destruction of the people of Ta'if upon being tortured by its people, he refused the option in hopes that perhaps from the offspring of that town would come a people who will accept and stand firm on the religion of Islam. And that is exactly what had happened soon thereafter. His merciful nature prevented him from ever raising his blessed hand on anyone except in inevitable circumstances in war. He would shorten his prayer upon hearing the weeping of a baby in the congregation, so that the mother of that baby can finish her prayer quickly enough to tend to her child. He displayed no vengeance toward the Jewish woman who invited him for a feast with the intention of poisoning him. Allah had informed him prior through angel Gabriel, and he ended up pardoning her for her vile and evil act. His sense of mercy, as pure, natural, and beautiful as it was, extended beyond human beings. He commanded his companions to be kind to animals, especially before slaughtering them. He commanded them to not slaughter an animal within the sight of another animal, to prevent the feeling of torture and fear for the animal watching. Scholars mention that bravery and generosity usually go hand in hand in a person's character. One who is courageous is also likely to be very generous, and vice versa. Prophet Muhammad possessed the best forms of both of these traits. He was often described as being the most courageous individual in the battlefield, while also being described as the most generous human being ever witnessed. He was an extremely generous individual, and his generosity was at its peak in the month of Ramadan. In fact, his generosity in that month was likened to being like the wind, in expression of the extreme degree of his generous nature. Being the most modest amongst his people, Prophet Muhammad taught his companions that modesty is a necessary part of Iman, or faith. When pondering upon his beautiful life, one is bound to concede to the fact that his manners were that of the Quran, as described in these exact words by his beloved wife Aisha. The Quran says about his mannerisms, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, and indeed you possess an exemplary character. Surah Al-Qalam, ayah number 4. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was of moderate height and stature, bearing wide shoulders, and hair reaching down to his earlobes. He was a very beautiful man, as described in many narrations in the Islamic tradition. His companions would swear to the fact that his blessed face was more beautiful than the full moon. When he passed away, he left no gold or silver behind. The small piece of land he used to possess he willed to charity. What was left of his possessions were only his white mule and some weapons. It is said that the day Prophet Muhammad arrived in the blessed city of Medina, everything was illuminated, and the day he departed from this world, everything was reduced to gloom.